He thought he'd humiliate his ex-wife in front of everyone. But when she walked in, she wasn't alone. She brought forth little surprises that turned the celebration into a storm he never saw coming. Rain poured relentlessly over the glass dome of the luxurious event hall, each drop glistening under the chandelier lights like tears of irony. Inside, laughter and clinking glasses painted a picture of celebration. The baby shower of the year, hosted by the one and only Ethan Vale, the self-made millionaire who had everything, wealth, fame, and now, a beautiful pregnant fiancée. But beneath that flawless smile, Ethan harbored a secret agenda. This wasn't just a celebration of fatherhood. It was revenge wrapped in ribbons and balloons. He had made sure Amara, his ex-wife, got an invitation hand-delivered. He wanted her to see the life she could have had, the life she threw away. When Ethan had been broke and struggling to build his tech company, Amara had stood by him until tragedy struck. Miscarriages, sleepless nights, arguments about money. She crumbled under the weight. One morning, she was just gone. Left a note, nothing else. 2 years later, Ethan's company exploded into success, and he remarried a young socialite named Celeste, picture perfect, glowing with pregnancy. Now, as guests surrounded Celeste, showering her with gifts and praises, Ethan kept glancing toward the door. "She'll come," he murmured, his lips curling. "She can't resist curiosity." And then she did. The entire room turned as Amara stepped in, calm and radiant. Her dark curls framed her face. Her sapphire dress hugged her form elegantly, and her quiet confidence silenced even the music. No bitterness, no anger, just poise. Ethan smirked. Well, you actually showed up." Amara's lips curved into a knowing smile. "You invited me, didn't you? I couldn't miss your big moment." He guided her through the crowd with mock politeness. "Everyone, this is my ex-wife, Amara. She supported me when I had nothing. Guess she can finally see what success looks like up close." There were polite laughs, awkward smiles. Celeste, glowing and proud, reached for Ethan's hand. Amara only nodded, her eyes scanning the extravagant decor, gold balloons spelling Baby V across the wall. "Beautiful setup," she said softly. "Quite the show." Ethan leaned in. "That's what life is, isn't it? A show. Some of us just get better roles than others." Before Amara could answer, a voice echoed from the entrance. "Mommy, can we sit here?" The crowd turned again and gasped. For small children, identical in face, wearing matching cream outfits, stood by the doorway, holding hands. 2 boys, 2 girls. The air seemed to vanish from the room. Amara's eyes softened. "Of course, loves. Come here." The quadruplets ran to her, their laughter piercing the stunned silence. Ethan's smirk faltered. His jaw tightened. What is this?" "My children," Amara said simply, brushing a strand of hair from one of the girls' faces. "Meet Nathan, Noah, Arya, and Ava." Celeste blinked in confusion. You have 4 kids?" Amara looked straight at Ethan, her voice gentle but firm. "Correction. We have 4 kids." The room exploded in whispers. Ethan froze. "What did you just say?" Amara met his stare, eyes unflinching. "They're yours, Ethan." The color drained from his face. She stepped closer, her voice low enough for only him to hear. "When I left, it wasn't because I stopped loving you. It was because the doctor said I'd never carry a term again. I didn't want to trap you in that heartbreak. But fate had other plans. A year later, I found out I was pregnant with them." Ethan staggered back as if struck. His mind reeled. The years apart, the unanswered messages, the rumors of her disappearance, all suddenly made sense. Celeste's grip on his arm trembled. "Ethan, is this true?" He couldn't speak. Amara turned to her children, who were now playing near the dessert table, charming everyone around them. "They wanted to meet their father someday," she said softly. "I guess today's as good a day as any." A photographer, oblivious of the tension, snapped a picture. The flash illuminated the surreal tableau. The millionaire with his shocked new fiancée, and the woman he thought he'd destroyed, standing tall beside the 4 living testaments of their past. Ethan's chest tightened. He could barely breathe. All the years he'd spent resenting her, proving he'd won, crumble before him in seconds. But Amara wasn't done. She reached into her purse and pulled out a sealed envelope, her gaze steady. "This," she said, handing it to him, "is for you. It's not about revenge. It's closure." Ethan hesitated, his fingers trembling as he took it. Inside was a document, not for money, not for custody, but for something far more unexpected. And just as his eyes widened at what he read, a familiar voice called from the doorway, breaking through the heavy silence. "Mommy, we forgot the gift in the car," one of the boys shouted, his small voice echoing through the tense hall. The moment broke like glass underfoot. All eyes turned from Ethan's stunned face to the cheerful innocence of the children. Amara smiled softly, her poise unshaken, as if she rehearsed this chaos in her mind 100 times. "It's all right, sweetheart," she said, kneeling to their level. "We'll get it later." Her voice was calm, melodic, the same tone that once soothed Ethan's endless frustration in the early days of his struggle. He remembered that voice. It used to be his anchor when he thought the world was against him. Now it was a storm in itself, dredging up everything he thought he'd buried. Celeste's grip tightened on his arm again. "Ethan," she hissed under her breath, "tell me this isn't true. Tell me she's lying." But Ethan couldn't speak. His throat burned with 1,000 unsaid words, his heart pounding painfully. The envelope still trembled in his hand. Inside, the first page of the document glared up at him. Paternity results, 99.98% match, Ethan Vale. He felt the air leave his lungs. His eyes flickered to Amara, who was now surrounded by his children, their children, as they showed guess a drawing they'd made for Daddy. The sight twisted his insides. He had spent years convincing himself she was gone, that she didn't care, that she had left him when he needed her most. But now, he realized she had been carrying a secret that rewrote everything. He stumbled back a step, bumping into the gift table. A glass of champagne toppled, spilling golden liquid across the floor. Laughter faded into whispers again. The guests, all from Ethan's world, investors, business partners, influencers, watched the perfect man unravel in real time. "Ethan." Amara's voice was quiet but firm. "Maybe we should talk somewhere private." Celeste moved between them, her face pale. "No, he's not going anywhere with you." Amara's gaze was steady. "I'm not here to destroy anything, Celeste. But those 4 children deserve answers, even if you don't like what they reveal. Answers." Celeste's laugh was brittle. "You disappeared for years, crashed my baby shower, and now you think you can just—" "It's our baby shower," Ethan blurted out suddenly, his voice breaking the tension like thunder. Everyone turned to him. His expression was unreadable, a mix of shock, guilt, and something deeper, something fragile. If what she says is true, then those kids, he couldn't finish. His eyes darted to Quadruplets, who were busy tasting cupcakes, their little faces smeared with frosting. "They're yours," Amara said quietly, "and they've been waiting to meet you their entire lives." Ethan's legs gave a slight tremor. He felt years of arrogance, anger, and pride melt into something raw and unfamiliar. He wanted to say something, to apologize, to ask why she hadn't told him. But his voice betrayed him. He turned toward the window, gripping the edge of the table for balance. The rain outside had stopped. The world seemed to hold its breath. Amara walked closer, her heels silent against the marble floor. "You think I left because I stopped believing in you," she said softly. "But the truth is, I left because I believed in you too much. I didn't want to be the broken woman who dragged you down when your dreams were just about to rise. I thought letting you go would free you, to become who you were meant to be." Ethan looked at her then, really looked. The woman who once laughed barefoot in their tiny kitchen, painting stars on the ceiling because they couldn't afford real lights. The woman who whispered encouragement when his investors rejected him. The woman who cried in silence when every pregnancy ended in heartbreak. She was still that woman, only stronger. "You should have told me," he said finally, his voice cracking. "I tried," she whispered. "You changed your number. You moved cities. Every time I reached out, you were already someone else. Untouchable, unreachable. I didn't want to show up and have you think I came for your money. Celeste's jaw tightened. So what now? You expect him to just accept this? You come back after all this time, and suddenly he's a father of 4? What about me? Amara met her gaze with quiet empathy. I don't want to take anything from you. I came because my children deserve to know where they come from. That's all. Celeste looked away, her eyes glistening with anger and fear. She turned to Ethan. Say something. Tell her she's lying. But Ethan didn't move. His hand tightened around the paternity document. She's not lying, he said hoarsely. I know she's not. A hush fell again. Celeste took a step back, as if the floor had tilted beneath her. You're choosing her? Ethan shook his head slowly. I'm not choosing anyone. I just need to understand what's real. Amara looked down at the children, who were now yawning, the sugar rush fading into fatigue. I think we've caused enough chaos for today, she said softly. Kids, say goodbye. We're leaving. The 4 of them waved cheerfully, unaware of the emotional wreckage around them. Bye, Daddy, they chorused. Ethan's chest clenched painfully at the word. He hadn't realized how much power a single word could hold until it came from the mouths of the children he never knew existed. As Amara gathered their coats, Ethan stepped forward, his voice barely audible. Wait, don't go yet. She paused, looking at him over her shoulder. Please, he said, eyes desperate now. I don't know how to even start this conversation, but don't walk away again. Something flickered in her eyes. The faint memory of love, perhaps, or the weary knowledge that fate had already tangled their lives too deeply to ever be cleanly undone. She gave a small nod. 5 minutes, she said. They moved to the side hallway, the murmurs of gossip following them like shadows. Ethan's hands trembled as he ran them through his hair. You could have told me sooner. Amara, you could have changed everything. She shook her head. You weren't the same man back then. You were angry, hurt. You wanted to erase me. I wasn't about to force myself back into your story. I didn't erase you, he said, voice low. I tried to forget, but I never could. Every time I looked at Celeste, I wonder if she'd ever understand me like you did. But she doesn't. No one does. Amara looked away, her throat tightening. Ethan, don't do this. You've built a new life. Don't destroy it for what's already gone. Gone. He stepped closer. Amara, how can I call it gone when 4 living pieces of us are standing in that room right now? She exhaled shakily, fighting the tears that threatened. They're my whole world, Ethan. They're the only reason I learned to live again. Don't confuse guilt with love. I'm not, he said, his voice rough. I'm realizing how blind I've been. You were never the failure. Amara, I was. Her lips parted slightly, the words catching her off guard. For the first time, his tone wasn't arrogant or cruel. It was broken, human. Before she could respond, a small hand tugged on her dress. It was Arya, their youngest. Mommy, she whispered. Can Daddy come see our gift now? Ethan knelt instinctively, his eyes softening. What gift? The little girl smiled proudly. We made something for you. Mommy helped us write your name on it. From the hallway, Noah appeared, holding a wrapped box covered in crayon drawings of stick figures. 6 of them, hand in hand, smiling under a bright yellow sun. Ethan took it with trembling fingers, unwrapping it carefully. Inside was a simple wooden photo frame, handmade, uneven, with a picture of Amara and the kids laughing in front of a tiny seaside cottage. At the bottom, written in a child's handwriting, were the words, For Daddy, so you don't forget us. Ethan's vision blurred. The weight of years collapsed onto him. Every regret, every harsh word, every night he told himself she was gone for good. He looked up, his voice barely a whisper. Amara? But before he could say more, someone's voice called from the hall. Celeste's, sharp and breaking. Ethan, your guests are leaving. Are you coming or not? He froze. The choice, the past and the present, stood before him in human form. Amara with her children, Celeste with his perfect, fabricated future. And as the music started playing again, and the sound of laughter tried to cover the whispers, Ethan took a slow, uncertain step toward. He stood there, torn between two worlds that no longer fit together. The shimmering illusion he had built and the truth that had just shattered it. The air felt heavy, thick with the weight of decisions too long delayed. Every step he took toward Amara felt like stepping through glass, each one cutting deeper into the lies he'd lived for years. Celeste's voice cracked through the silence, sharp and desperate. "Ethan, are you seriously hesitating? After everything we've built?" Her hand clutched her belly, her eyes flashing with fear disguised as fury. "You think you can just walk away because she shows up with a story?" But Ethan didn't answer. His gaze lingered on the photo frame in his hands. Uneven edges, childish drawings, imperfect but real. The kind of real that money could never buy. He could almost feel the tiny hands that made it, the laughter that surrounded it. For the first time in years, his chest ached in a way that wasn't about loss or revenge. It was about love. He turned to Amara, who was holding the door open, ready to disappear quietly once again. The children waited behind her, sleepy but smiling, unaware that the next few moments could change everything. "Amara," he said finally, his voice trembling with emotion, "if I let you walk away again, I'll never forgive myself." She met his eyes, calm yet conflicted. "Ethan, it's not about forgiveness. It's about peace. I didn't come here to be part of your world again. I came so you'd know the truth, so they'd know their father exists." He took a deep breath, stepping closer. "And what if I want to exist for them now? What if I'm done pretending I've been living when all I've been doing is running?" Celeste's face went pale. "Ethan." He didn't look back. "Celeste, you deserve someone who can give you his whole heart. I can't do that anymore. I thought I could, but I've been lying to both of us." The room fell into stunned silence. Celeste's lips trembled as her eyes filled with tears. "You're choosing her?" "No," Ethan said softly. "I'm choosing them." For a moment, no one moved. Even the music seemed to fade, leaving only the sound of soft rain tapping the windows again. Gentle, cleansing. The guests, sensing the rawness of the moment, began to quietly slip out, murmuring their goodbyes as if afraid to disturb something sacred. Celeste turned away, her pride shattered. Without another word, she walked toward the door, heels clicking sharply across the marble floor. But as she reached the exit, she paused. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Ethan," she said without turning around, "because I'm done being your consolation prize." Then she was gone. The silence that followed was thick with emotion. Amara looked at Ethan, her eyes soft but cautious. "Ethan, what are you doing?" "Something I should have done years ago," he whispered, stopping the performance. He knelt before his children, eye level with them. "I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. I didn't know. But now that I do, I want to be here. I don't know how to make up for lost time, but I'll try every single day if you'll let me." Nathan, the oldest, tilted his head. "You mean you'll come to our house?" "For real." Ethan smiled through his tears. "For real. If your mom says it's okay." Amara's breath hitched. The children clung to her legs, their innocent eyes full of hope, and she realized this was no longer about the past. It was about the future they could still build. She swallowed hard, trying to steady her voice. "One step at a time. Ethan, that's all I can promise." He nodded, a tear finally spilling down his cheek. One step is enough. The tension that had once filled the hall slowly melted into something softer. The storm outside had cleared completely now, leaving behind a sky streaked with gold and silver as the sun dipped below the horizon. Light filtered through the glass dome, bathing the room in a warm, ethereal glow, as if even the universe was exhaling in relief. Amara looked at the decorations, the gold balloons, the confetti, the untouched cake. "You know," she said with a faint smile, "you never were good at subtlety." He chuckled quietly, rubbing the back of his neck. "You mean inviting you just to show off? Yeah, that was low. But I guess life has a sense of humor." "Life," she murmured, "or karma." Their eyes met, and for a long, silent moment, it was like time folded back. Two souls who had loved, broken, and rebuilt, standing face to face at last. Ethan glanced at the envelope again, then at her. "You said this was closure," he said softly. "But maybe it's also a beginning." She hesitated, her heart thudding. Don't make promises you can't keep, Ethan. The kids, they don't need another heartbreak. I'm not promising perfection, he said. Just presence. I can't erase the past, but I can show up now. For them. For you, if you let me try. Her lips curved, faint but genuine. You always did have a way with words. Only when it mattered, he replied. And this matters more than anything. The children had begun dancing near the cake table, their laughter echoing off the high ceiling. A sound so pure it softened even the hardest hearts in the room. Ethan watched them, awe in his eyes, as though he couldn't believe they were real. Amara followed his gaze, her hand brushing against his, a touch that felt both foreign and familiar. For the first time, she didn't pull away. "Do you remember," she said quietly, "how you used to say our love would survive anything?" He nodded. "I remember saying that right before everything fell apart." "Maybe," she whispered, "it didn't fall apart. Maybe it just paused until we were ready." Ethan turned to her fully then, his voice low and filled with unspoken emotion. "Then maybe this is our second chance. Not the same as before. Something better. Wiser." Her eyes shimmered. "You've changed." "So have you," he said, smiling faintly. "But somehow you're still the same woman who believed in me when I was nothing." "I believed in us," she corrected softly, "even when it hurt." He took her hand, gently this time, reverently. "Then let me believe in us now. Together." The lights dimmed as the last guest drifted out. The hall was quiet except for the faint sound of the children giggling as they blew soap bubbles, their reflections shimmering in the fading light. Amara watched them, her heart swelling with emotion too complex for words. Grief, relief, love, forgiveness, all tangled together. She turned back to Ethan, her voice barely above a whisper. "You have a lot to prove." "I know," he said, "and I'll spend the rest of my life proving it." He knelt again, wrapping his arms around the 4 children. They giggled, clinging to him as if they'd known him forever. It wasn't perfect, it was messy, emotional, uncertain, but it was real. Amara watched them, tears glistening in her eyes. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to feel hope, fragile, trembling, but alive. Ethan stood, looking at her through the dim light. "You coming home, Amara?" She smiled, a soft, knowing smile. "Maybe, but this time you'll have to find a way." He nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. This wasn't the end of their story. It was the moment they began rewriting it, one chapter, one day, one fragile heartbeat at a time. Outside, the sky broke open in streaks of color, crimson, gold, violet, painting the horizon like a promise kept too long in silence. The world seemed to hold its breath as Amara took his hand, their children running ahead, their laughter spilling into the night. And as the door closed behind them, the once cold echo of the empty hall was replaced by something new. The sound of life returning, love rekindled, and a man who finally understood that sometimes the greatest victories are born not from pride, but from the courage to say I was wrong and to begin again.